Hey y'all, so this is going to be a 6-part little mini-series in a mini-series type thing. So, of course, now is the time to take a picture while I'm not completely blocking the screen, the whiteboard. So, we're trying to build an AI, right? The only way I see a feasible way of doing this is by proliferating an initial particle, growing an AI from an initial particle, and genetically coding into the particle, genetically, programming into the particle rules of interaction so that it can grow and that all of its descendants can behave with each other, including the initial particle. I am out of water. Awesome. So, rules of interaction for the design and development of AI. So there are 4 categories of the rules of interaction. Then there are also artifacts, which at some point, in some sense, change the rules of interaction. But they're more important than just changing the rules of interaction of the particles. They are also there to give input and get output from the complex network with computational equivalency to the universal limit, which I haven't done an episode on yet in this series. That's fine. Okay, so where's my green pen? There it is. Cool. So, the first category is growth. This is where we encode proliferation into the particle. There's pre-programmed particle death, which is also encoded into the particle. The initial particle, so that all its descendants carry this gene with them as they proliferate through time and space. Time and space, it's virtual. And halting of proliferation. Those are the 3 subcategories of the category growth that will be necessary. So I count 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's like 9 rules of interaction. 9 things that the particles need to do to create or to allow complex behavior to emerge. There's also the connections between particles. This needs to be encoded in the initial particle for the particles to decide whether their connections are axonal or dendritic, and then on top of that, to decide whether their connections, the axonal or dendritic connections, have gates or just the type of linkage choice, really. So the third category is communication. This is where we do the 5 W's and the H of the signal that we haven't designed yet. And we also need to design into the particles a signaling threshold, just like in neurons in the brain. And then we have to design into the initial particle rules that will alter the degrees of separation to create nodes and lobes and layers and things like that, to create the CNCEUL. There's also degrees of linkedness, how linked is the particle of interest, not the initial particle, the particle of interest to other particles. And then of course there will be artifacts. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is episode 1. Good luck on the next 30 minutes. See y'all.